Hello everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Jamie. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, nice to see you again. How are we? Okay, so today's video I'm really worried is going to be a long one, so we're going to try and get straight into it. I read 88 books in 2022, and this video is basically just going to be every book that I read that year and also very quick thoughts on them. I am going to try and go very rapid fire because I do have a best books of 2022 and a most disappointing books of 2022 video coming out, so that's where you'll get like more detail about my favorites and my least favorites. But this video is basically just going to be the rundown of everything that I read and just very quick little sentences about each book. We are going to be going in chronological order of when I read them, so we're going to be starting with the beginning of 2022 all the way to the end. Let's just get straight into it. There's a lot to get through here, so let's go. The first book I read in 2022, I actually do not own physically. I read this on Kindle Unlimited, or just on my Kindle at least, and we started off with something very we started with All of Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I believe I rated this 2 out of 5 stars. Yeah, it's basically a marriage and turmoil kind of vibes. I did not like this. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the writing style. Look, I'm never touching a Colleen Hoover book ever again. We're just gonna leave it at that, and that's all we need to say about it. Then the second book I read was Addicted to You by Krista and Becky Ritchie. This started my obsession with this series and with these characters and with this entire world. This is the first book in the Addicted series following Lily and Lo, our two addicts who are in love. If you've been with me since the beginning of the year, you'll know that I absolutely fell in love with this series. I have actually gotten quite a few of my friends to pick up this series, so I'm so grateful that they're enjoying it and we're all loving it. I absolutely love this book. This was 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. Then I read The 10 Loves of Mr. Nishino by Hiromi Kawakami. I believe I gave this 2 out of 5 stars as well. It wasn't the best read. I really can't remember anything about it, but I believe we follow like, yeah, 10 loves that this main character has. He's an awful person, so I couldn't really relate to any of the characters. It was very weird for the kind of the sake of being weird, I think. Yeah, 2 out of 5 stars. Did not love it. Then I read The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This was way too hyped up for me, I think. I was really anticipating to love it, and I just unfortunately did not. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars because I did think it was really fun. I will say that. It was fun. I liked the mystery. I liked the games. I did not like the romantic subplot, and I didn't love the characters. So unfortunately it was a 3 out of 5 stars. However, I will be continuing the series. I actually have reread this already this month. Obviously it's not that bad if I could manage to get through a reread, but yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read one of my favorites of the year, Not That I'd Kiss a Girl by Lil O'Brien. This is a memoir about a New Zealand girl growing up as a lesbian in a small town in New Zealand called Dunedin. But yeah, this was incredibly hard-hitting. I absolutely loved it. There was so much heart behind it. It really made me cry. I think any queer person should be picking this up. It's very fantastic, and yeah, I just really love this book, and I really appreciate Lil for writing it and being so vulnerable with her readers. I really loved it. Then I read the sequel to Addicted to You, and that is Ricochet by Krista and Becky Ritchie. I did like this book. I believe I still rated it 4 out of 5 stars. However, I did not like it as much as the first one, just because, I don't want to spoil it, but basically we just spend the entire novel without our male love interest, and I really loved him. I wanted to see more of him. So this one wasn't as good, but I think the journeys that our characters went on were like very gorgeous. So this was still a 4-star read for me. Then I read The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the 3rd and final installment in the Folk of the Air trilogy. I am obsessed with this. Like, it's so much fun, and this was just the perfect ending. I think I read this in a 24-hour readathon or something. I read it for some sort of readathon video, but yeah, absolutely loved this. Then I read A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I actually did read this physically, and I do own the physical book, but I just do not know where my copy is. But I rated this 2 out of 5 stars. I think it was just really hyped up to me as something that was going to be really hard-hitting, really emotional. I just did not cry once, and I can understand why people found it emotional, but I needed some more nuance. It just wasn't very well written, and like, yeah, the concept is sad, but it wasn't well written. It was very cheesy, and there was also a lot of slut shaming. There's a lot of like, oh, she's not like other girls because she wears like pretty bows and like very modest outfits. It's not my vibe. It really wasn't my vibe, and the characters were just assholes. So I did not love this. Then I read The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. This was another 2-star. Wow, I did not start the year off well, did I? Yeah, this was 2 out of 5 stars. I just think it was not very well constructed. Like, it was all a bit messy, all a bit confusing. It just wasn't what I expected, and I expected it to be just a bit more nuanced than this, but unfortunately we were basically just in the head of a girl who was going very crazy. So it was like an unreliable narrator moment, but not in a fun way, just in a really stressful way. However, I am not giving up on Grady Hendrix yet. I still do love his horror novels, but I'm hoping that his one this year gets a bit better. We'll see. Next, I read Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellfleur, which I read on my Kindle. This is a gorgeous lesbian romance, a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, and I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. It was very fun, and I really recommend it. And then finally, another 5-star, I read Sweet Bitter by Stephanie Danler. I absolutely loved this. This was a love letter to the hospitality industry. This literally made me go back to my hospitality job. I promptly quit after like 3 months. Again, but really good book. I really love this. I really want to watch the TV show, and I highly recommend this. If you have very similar taste to me, then I think you will like this. Then I read Addicted for Now by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I rated this 5 out of 5 stars. It was my absolute favorite in the series. I just think the journeys the characters went on were so beautiful. I loved their love story, and I loved that the characters weren't quite perfect just yet. They were just gorgeous. This is definitely, yeah, my favorite in the series, so 5 out of 5 stars. Then, unfortunately, I suffered from a very bad case of strep throat and tonsillitis at the same time. On my deathbed, I read Finley Donovan is Killing It by El Cosimano. I love this series. It's just cozy mysteries, so good, so funny, so much heart. I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. It was just the perfect book to read when I was sick. It was just very comforting, and I really loved this. Just so many twists and turns. A perfect book. Well, not perfect because I rated it 4 stars. I think if I reread it, I would give it 5, but I was too sick to kind of comprehend anything, so 4 stars. The first pile is done with Kiss the Sky by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the first book in the Calloway Sisters series, but obviously you do still need to read the first 3 Addicted books before getting to this one. I absolutely love this. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars because we follow my favorite couple in this whole universe, which is Rose and Connor. I absolutely loved them, and this was amazing. It also was like probably the most interesting plot out of the whole series, including the Addicted series. Probably the most interesting plot. I absolutely loved this book. Such a fast read. Obsessed with this one. 5 stars. Next, I read The Good Lie by A.R. Torr. I rated this 1 star, but I wish I could tell you why, because I remember absolutely nothing about this book. I couldn't even tell you the plot. I really couldn't. This is a thriller on Kindle Unlimited, which I rated 1 star, and obviously it was incredibly forgettable. Then I read Milk Fed by Melissa Broder, which I gave 5 stars. I really loved this, but it's definitely a weird book. Very unreliable narrator, definitely very unhinged. A lot of people hate this, and I can understand why. However, I really love the nuance in which Melissa Broder creates these really unlikable, unrealistic, like ridiculous characters, and I really like the kind of awful way that she paints humanity, because we're not all good people. Absolutely not, and we all have like dark thoughts, and she really doesn't shy away from that in this novel. So I definitely rated it 5 stars, but that's because Melissa Broder just writes books that are so perfectly weird to me. I absolutely adore them, but yeah, 5 stars, but definitely not for everyone. Then I read It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I absolutely love this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Perfect enemies to lovers, I think. Like enemies to lovers goodness. And also what I loved about this is that our character was a socialite, and she was like very blonde, very rich, very kind of, you know, that kind of Paris Hilton-esque idea of femininity. However, the author definitely wasn't making fun of that, and our love interest wasn't making fun of that either. Like, I hate it when it's enemies to lovers, grumpy sunshine, and then the grumpy man like makes fun of the girl for wearing makeup and heels. Can we move on from that, please? And Tessa Bailey did. And we just have like a really healthy relationship, which stemmed from them disliking each other, but it's just not toxic. I don't know, I really loved it. I thought it was really sweet. And yeah, not so much the next one, but we'll get to that. Then I read a very fun little romance called Dirty Like Me by Janie Diamond. This is a like rock star romance. Our main character ends up fake dating and falling in love with this rock star from this boy band. This was just so fun. The smut was pretty good. I think I read this when I was just reading very casually, like I wasn't making videos. I was just like reading random ass things on Kindle Unlimited, and this was a good time. It got me through that, and I guess it kind of got me back into reading in a sense. Yeah, not perfect, but fun. And then I read Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton. This was kind of my attempt to get back into fantasy, and it didn't work. I rated this 3 out of 5 stars, and I really don't remember anything about it apart from the fact that our main character can like dream walk maybe, or she's like the embodiment of fear. I really had no idea. I can't remember a thing. I think it was like well written and good. That's what I remember about it. I was like, yeah, this is like solid, but I have no attachment to it whatsoever. I think if I read it at a different time, maybe I would feel differently. But yeah, 0 out of 5 stars. Then I read Hot House Flower by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which is in my opinion the worst book in the Calloway Sisters series. This follows Reich and Daisy, and I just don't like Reich or Daisy. Reich, definitely he's worse. I really don't like him. I don't like the idea that he has to say the word fuck in every sentence. It's just very juvenile to me. It literally reminds me of like someone who's just been told they're allowed to swear, and so they start swearing in every sentence. Also, the age gap kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. Yeah, it's definitely not my favorite. I definitely did not love this book as much as the others, so I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. Then I read Weightless by Candy Steiner. I again don't really remember much about this, but I rated it 2 out of 5 stars. It's basically about a girl who wants to lose weight, so she gets this personal trainer and then she like falls in love with him. I don't know. There was a lot of drama in this, and I was like, I don't love it. It was just, I don't know, it just kind of made me feel a bit icky. I have no idea why, and I can't explain it because I cannot remember it that well. However, I did not give up on Candy Steiner, as you will see, and for good reason, because now I love her. Then I read the book that got me back into reading. It got me out of my reading slump, and it got me back into making YouTube videos just because I wanted to shout to the world how much I love this book. Bear Town by Frederick Backman. 5 out of 5 stars. You guys know that I love this. I've been talking about this so much last year. I absolutely adored this. This made me sob. It's such a hard-hitting story, so definitely trigger warning for homophobia and sexual assault. It was very, very hard to read. I don't know, it just tore at my heartstrings. It was just amazing. Frederick Backman's writing style is, I don't know, I think he's one of the best writers of the 21st century, dare I say it. It was just very beautiful. I really loved it. If you're gonna read any book out of the recommendations in this video, read this one, please. Next, I read The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This was 1 star. I did not love this. It was very juvenile, very misogynistic. Why is Friends to Lovers so misogynistic? I really don't understand. Like, it's, yeah, Friends to Lovers romance. Didn't love this. It was not good. Yeah, bad. And, oh, and the ending. Don't get me started. Anyway, 1 star. Then I read The Venue by TJ Payne. This is a ridiculous like battle royale thriller, and I loved it. 4 out of 5 stars. It was so stupid but so much fun, like genuinely just so much fun. Yeah, anyway, lesbian heroes, we love to see it. I love this book. Then I read You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thau. This was not good. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. It just felt very underdeveloped, and I feel like everyone like tried to convince me that I was supposed to cry and find it really heartbreaking, and I didn't. I felt very, very disconnected from it, and I don't think that's my fault. I think it's the writing's fault. I don't know, I have high standards when it comes to tearing at my heartstrings and making me cry, and if I think the writing's bad, I'm not gonna connect and I'm not gonna cry. Anyway, 2 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Bombshell Effect by Carla Sorensen. I also gave this 2 stars. I don't know why, because I again cannot remember anything about it. I feel like if I cannot remember a single thing of this book that I read like 6 months ago, it's not gonna be that good of a book. Like, it's not really going to stay with me. I just found this really boring. Despite it being like a fake dating, like sports, single dad romance, that should be so up my alley. If you're a romance novel with like smut and you manage to bore me, what? How does it even happen? To be fair, I do find sex scenes kind of boring, not gonna lie. Anyway, moving on. Next, I read Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I bought this at a bookshop before getting my hair dyed, and then like read the entire thing while I was getting my hair bleached. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. I think Dolly Alderton has such a way with words and such a way of telling these like funny little anecdotes. It was a really fun novel. I really liked it, and just a beautiful book about female friendship. It was really sweet. Then I read Thrive by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This was a very interesting Callaway Sisters book. I still gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but basically it was like the exact same plots as Kiss the Sky and Hot House Flower, but from the perspective of Lo and Lily. And so I was kind of reading things that I had already read before from just like a different perspective, which I think was like fun because I love Lo and Lily so much, especially more than Daisy and Reich. But because it was kind of a filler novel, I think, I didn't love it as much, but I think I still gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was 4 or 3, I can't actually remember. Then I read No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is like a perfect thriller, I'm not gonna lie. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but in reality I should be giving it 5 because there's no thriller that is better than this in my opinion, apart from maybe Gone Girl and The Kind Worth Killing. This was fantastic, all told in like one day, in like the span of 24 hours, which is one of my favorites, and just a really badass female heroine. I really love this book, and I think if you are getting into thrillers, please start with this one. Then I read They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. I read this in my first weekly reading vlog back making videos, which was really exciting. So I read this in September. Okay, isn't it crazy how like what I've just read was like at the beginning of the year, and then all of these were like September onwards. I'm sorry, that's so crazy to me. Anyways, They Never Learn. This was 4 out of 5 stars. I believe. Again, in my head, like I'm thinking 5 stars, but I think I actually gave it 4. This was fantastic. Just like females being unhinged, being badass, like getting their revenge on like disgusting men. It was just really, really good. I really liked this and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Then I read Addicted After All by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This was the final book in the Addicted series, but not the final book in the Calloway Sisters universe. This one was really fun. I really liked seeing Lily and Lo kind of becoming adults and getting the final installment into like their specific story with their addictions and everything. I really liked this. Yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry, or if you're American, People We Meet on Vacation. Don't really know why they changed the title for You and Me and People when really the word that's like super American is vacation. Anyways, I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This is probably one of the only Friends to Lovers that I've actually really enjoyed apart from the Addicted series. Yeah, this was fantastic and so much heart and kind of gave Emily Henry her comeback moment for me because I don't love beach read. Yeah, I really liked this. Oh! Then we read Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. Sorry for the dramatics. Sorry for the dramatics, but this needs it. This like requires drama. This was 5 out of 5 stars. Simultaneously one of the funniest and most disgusting books I've read in my life. This was fucking unhinged. Whenever anyone talks about like unhinged women, this is the blueprint. Even though I'm pretty sure this only came out like last year, well 2021, this is the blueprint of unhinged women. This was crazy. This made me feel sick. It made me feel angry. It made me feel kind of crazy. Like it made me feel like maybe I should act like this. No, I did not think that. I really should not act like this. This character is a fucking narcissist, like unreliable narrator to the fucking highest degree. But I loved it. I will probably never read it again, but I loved it. More coming in my best books of 2022 video. Then I read The Arrangement by Robin Harding. This was 1 star. Why was this so misogynistic? It's so ridiculous. It's about this like sugar baby who falls in love with her sugar daddy, and it's a thriller. And then in the author's note, Miss Harding said that she like did all this research and interviewed all these sugar babies like for the book, but then she's like literally slut shaming the entire time in the novel. What? Anyways, I hated it. 1 star. Then I read To Love Jason Thorne by Ella Mays, a very, very fun little rom-com, like childhood friends to lovers, fake dating. Jason Thorne is a famous movie star, like literally all my favorite tropes. Literally all my favorite tropes. It was so much fun. I really liked this and it was just a really good like time killer. I don't know, I loved it. Then we had A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I loved this and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Should probably up it to 5 to be honest. I think the only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because I felt like some of the writing to be a little bit juvenile. Like I didn't really care about like Pippa's school life. I just really cared about the mystery, and what a mystery it was. It was so much fun and I love the series now and I want there to be a whole like Pippa and Ravi universe. Is her name Pippa or is it just Pip or is it Piper? Anyways, 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. Let me tell you, this gave me no rest and no relaxation because I rated it 2 out of 5 stars. It really wasn't that fun. It was just like, oh, this like white, rich, beautiful woman who wants to sleep her life away. Please put me to sleep after reading this book. Yawn. Snooze fest. I did not love it and I just thought it was a bit silly. And I've read other Otessa Moshfeghs, so it's like, I know that she can do better than this. I really do. This wasn't good. Then I read a 5-star novel, Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. And look, I've heard the criticisms, okay? I have seen people talk about how much they don't like this. And can I just say, I agree with you. But I'm still rating it 5 stars for the vibes it gave me, for the feelings it gave me. And those feelings were just like, I want to be in a small town looking after my 11-year-old niece, having like massive cups of lattes while also having this like really awful guy who was also sexy and a barber, like being mean to me, but also secretly like loving me. Like, that's a really long sentence, but I really loved those vibes. However, I understand that there are some really cringy lines and I acknowledge them. However, the heart wants what it wants, and I don't know, I want Naomi. Love her. And then I read, whoa, that was kind of cool. I read The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. Remember when I said snooze fest about My Year of Rest and Relaxation? Same. However, it felt like I was reading an Oxford dictionary. It was so boring, so overwritten. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. I did not understand the hype. It felt like it was written so someone could take a photo of the page and then post that page on Pinterest or Tumblr. Like, it just felt like every single line was written to be quotable, and I did not like it. I just don't like things that are really overwritten but not in a way that's good. Sorry for being harsh. I'm really sorry for being harsh. Am I? Yeah. Anyways, next I read Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Taylor Jenkins Reid does it again. I really loved this. I don't understand why people dislike this one so much more than her other ones, or her other books that are at least in the like literary universe of famous people that Taylor Jenkins Reid has written. I feel like this is a book for the eldest daughter of the family, and I am the eldest daughter of the family, so I could really relate to this novel. Not in like a bikini model way, but just in an elder sibling way. I really loved it. Then I read Rock Paper Scissors by Alice Feeney. This was really fun. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars at the time, and I think it's because I had like quite a few little like nitpicky things to say about it, but it was actually a good time. If you haven't read a lot of thrillers, this would be a good place to start, I feel. Like good plot twists, like solid character, easy to follow. Yeah, it was really fun. And then I read You Have Me at Ola by Alexis Daria. I rated this 3 out of 5 stars. This is a romance between 2 co-stars, which should be like so up my alley, but unfortunately I just feel like it just missed the mark for me. I just didn't really believe the chemistry of the 2 characters. However, I thought it was like a fun read, so hence the 3 stars. Then I read Exciting Times by Nersha Dolan. This was 1 star. I hated it. I had a copy and I got rid of it because of how much I did not like it. It just wasn't good at all. Very, very boring, very nothing. Like nothing happened. Yeah, wasted my time. Then I read my favorite book of the Calloway sisters, Fuel the Fire by Kristen Becker Ritchie. This is the second Rose and Connor book, and I absolutely loved this. This is my favorite book in the Calloway sisters universe. I loved like hearing more about Connor's sexuality. I just thought this was the strongest novel in the whole universe. 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Silent Patient by Alex McCallides. This was like a 3-star book up until like the last 40 pages where it swiftly became 4 stars. It was just a really solid thriller. Plot twist was kind of predictable, but I still loved it. I thought it was well written and fun. Ooh! Then I read Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. 1 star. I think the only thing that needs to be said about this is what I said in my Goodreads review, which has now like gone viral. You know those TikToks that people make on booktok where they're like, oh, 1-star reviews of books that like made me giggle or made me laugh, whatever, and then they just like post screenshots of like other people's reviews and then do not give credit. Sorry, I don't know why I'm being a drama queen about this. Then I read Blindside by Candy Steiner. This is literally like The Deal by Elle Kennedy, but in my opinion, better. Actually, no, not better. I think it's probably just as good. This is fake dating, college sports romance. Really, really fun. Loved the characters. This was just like a really fun book. A little bit meta because our main character is like obsessed with romance novels. So she keeps like quoting like romance tropes or like saying how her life has turned into a romance book. Babe, you're living in one. But I loved it. It was really cute. 4 out of 5 stars. Recommend it. This is why Candy Steiner won me over, because this was really fun. And now I want to read her entire backlist, basically. Speaking of reading an author's entire backlist, then I read Anxious People by Frederick Buckman, one of my new favorite authors. Obviously, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. This was a perfect book in my opinion. It's exactly my sense of humor. I thought the characters were perfect. It was like the perfect blend of humor and more serious topics. Yeah, this just secured Frederick Buckman as being one of my new favorite authors. I absolutely love him and I love this. Do y'all mind if I get a glass of wine to finish off these next stacks? Because I'm gonna do that. My workday's not even close to being over, but it's over for someone somewhere in the world, so cheers. Next, I read The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. This was a 4 out of 5 star thriller. I feel like Lucy Foley is one of those authors who just keeps improving with each release. For example, The Hunting Party, which is a book by her that I read last year, was 1 star, and then her next release, The Guest List, was 3 stars, and this one has 4 stars. I don't know, I really liked this. It was just really fun and a really solid thriller. Definitely not the best writing in the world. I had a good time, and I think that's what I wanted from it. So yeah. Then I read Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. This was very interesting. Woman turns into a dog. Like nothing I've ever read before, but a good time, but still a little too weird for me. It was 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read a really fun YA horror, which made me think maybe my YA era isn't over just yet. And that is The Devil Makes 3 by Tori Bovolino. This was 4 out of 5 stars. A really good time. Call me crazy, call me weird, call me not like other girls, but I love Satan. Sorry. No, I don't love Satan. I love media that features Satan as a prominent character or the idea of Satan as a theme. And this had that. So it was a fun time for me. 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. This was a 5-star thriller for me, on the same level as Gone Girl in terms of enjoyment. I absolutely loved it. It was so fantastic. If you love like unreliable main characters, if you love like just unhinged people in general, and just like the biggest plot twists of your life, you'll love this. I really liked this novel. 5 stars. Then I read One of the Girls by Lucy Clark. This was a pretty solid like suburban mom drama kind of book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was a good time. And then I read Dare You to Hate Me by B. Celeste. This is a 1-star novel. This was so bad. I cannot remember a thing about it, but I just remember like the characters being like so edgy, like edgelords. 1 star. Apart from that, I can't remember anything about it. Then I read Finlay Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by El Cosimano. This I gave 3 out of 5 stars. I think I was just expecting the same level of like hilariousness as the first book, and I didn't quite get that, but it was still a very, very cozy, like fun read. I think if I read this in like winter time, I would have liked it more because of that like cozy mystery vibe, but I read it like when I was on a tropical island. But yeah, still a fun time. 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read this masterpiece, Blood Sugar by Sasha Rothschild. Why is no one talking about this? I have no idea. This is a thriller, and what I love about it is that it's a thriller that doesn't rely heavily on plot twists. This is just really great. It's about a woman who has killed people in the past, but she doesn't feel any guilt, and then her husband dies and she's suspected of murdering him. However, that's like the one person that died in her life that she didn't actually kill. It's just so good. Like, trust me, it sounds really dark. It's not actually that dark. It was just so good and such a fast read, and I loved it. Then I read Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, probably one of the most overhyped books I've ever read. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. I thought it was an absolute snooze fest, very boring, and the plot twist, what was that? That's all I'm gonna say. Next was Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is, I guess, a really short little book about 4 kind of vignettes about this cafe where you can travel back in time. It was a really nice, fun read. Or not fun, it was more sad. It was very melancholic, I'll say that. I felt a lot of melancholy when reading this, but not in a bad way. It was just a really well-written book, and I really liked this, and I cannot wait to read the sequels. Then I read Accidentally Amy by Lynn Painter. This was 1 star. I read this in a reading vlog, and I kind of ripped it to shreds, I'm not gonna lie. For good reason. It was really bad, really cheesy, very juvenile. I did not like this. It was not good, and the main character's ridiculous. And it quoted Taylor Swift lyrics. I'm so sorry, Blondie. I'm so sorry they did that to you. Next, I read Lemon by Kwon Yo Sun. This is a kind of like mystery thriller vibe. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I think I need to dock it down to 3 because I don't remember much about it at all. Pretty sure I only gave it 4 stars because there's this one like series of chapters that were very, very chilling, and then the rest was just kind of like decent but not like amazing. That's all I have to say about that, I guess. Then I read Neanderthal Opens the Door to the Universe by Preston Norton, which I gave 3 stars. Really fun little YA contemporary while also still being very hard-hitting. Also deals with a lot of like religion, which I actually found to be really interesting because I do find religion and theology very fascinating. Yeah, this was 3 stars. And then I read this spicy little novella, The Deer by Harley LaRue. This was actually really good. I was expecting it to be pure sex, pure smut, but like the character development and like the chemistry between the 2 characters, I was like, wow, okay. Sex scenes, all right, whatever, kind of I skimmed half the book by doing that. I just love them. I love the characters. I love their dynamic. And there is actually a full-length novel that follows the events after this little novella, because this is all set in one night. Best believe I'm gonna be reading that book and probably rating it 5 stars. But yeah. This was 3 stars. Then I read The Breakdown by B.A. Paris. This was on Kindle, and I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. One of the most half-baked thrillers I've read in my life. It was very lazy. It had one of my least favorite tropes, which is basically just like everyone thinking that the main character is like going crazy and she thinks she's going crazy, but actually people are just like fucking gaslighting her. Hate it. I hate it so much. But yeah, it was like a fast read, and it was like a good page turner, I guess, but the plot twists were very predictable and it just wasn't very fun. Then I read For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. This was slightly disappointing because Samantha Downing's other book that I read was 5 stars, whereas this one was only a 3. However, it was still a really solid thriller. I just felt like some of the characters were a bit like cartoony, if that makes sense, like just a bit unrealistic and over the top. However, it was still a fun time, so 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Fifth Letter by Nicola Moriarty. This is a book by the sibling of Leanne Moriarty, who is one of my favorite like suburban white mom authors. This was 2 out of 5 stars though, because I felt it to be quite lazily written and just a bit weak. Like, it seemed really rushed and a bit too short, funnily enough. Like, it just wasn't developed enough. But yeah, so that was 2 out of 5 stars. Then I read Long Way Down by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Do not worry, this is going to be the last Calloway Sisters book that I talk about in this video. This is the second Daisy and Reich novel, and so very surprisingly I actually rated it 4 out of 5 stars. I really loved this, and I feel like Daisy and Reich have actually just been through so much, so I felt a lot more empathy towards them in this novel. This was just a really solid book, and this was supposed to be the final novel in the series. It's not. I'm reading the epilogue novel at the moment. But yeah, this was 4 out of 5 stars. It was very good. Then I read Nothing Can Hurt You by Nicola May Goldberg, another book that I remember absolutely nothing about. I believe I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. In retrospect, maybe 2. I just don't think it was very well written at all. It's a thriller. Yeah, don't remember a thing. And then I read another one of my favorites of the year, Carrie Soto Is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't have my physical copy right now because my best friend Yana is borrowing it, as she should. This was a 5-star read. I absolutely love Carrie Soto. She is one of my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid heroines. Yeah, this book was perfect in my eyes. I absolutely loved it. Then I read Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This was, I think, 1 star, and with good reason. I thought it was so bad, and I hated the main characters. Like, our main character, Hannah, was just very boring, and she kept describing herself as like a side character, and she was right, like she is. And then our main character, Fox, like just kept blaming everyone else for him being a fuckboy and like sleeping around. Didn't love it. Didn't love it. 1 star. Then I read my very first mafia romance, Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller. This was actually so much fun. It's a Hades and Persephone kind of inspired novel, and it was so good. Incredibly spicy, very smutty. It was just really fun, and I really liked it. Next, I read The 9 Lives of Rose Napolitano by Donna Freitas. This was a very interesting concept. I feel like the execution was not as good as the concept. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars, so I still enjoyed it, but it just didn't live up to my expectations, I suppose. It's like a sliding doors type story, but I just wasn't really satisfied with the ending. Then I read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, also known as Love in Other Words, the remake. I did not like this. It was 2 out of 5 stars. I didn't like Love in Other Words on its own, so why would I like a book that's exactly the same? Although I will say, this one was actually slightly better. I feel like the atmosphere of the Canadian lake was really, really fun. I definitely felt like transported there, but I just didn't like the story, and yeah, it was just a bit boring. Then I read the first book for my Patreon. This was for my Patreon series Read Along, and that is The Deal by Al Kennedy. So my patrons and I are reading all of the Off-Campus and Briar U series from, yeah, in December last year to August this year. So if you are interested, please check it out down below, because we still have so many books to read. But anyway, this was a reread for me, and when I first read it I gave it 3 stars, but on this reread this year I gave it 4 stars. I just realized how influential this book has been for the romance community. I don't know, I really liked it. It was just a really fun time, and I just love Garrett and Hannah. Even though Garrett is kind of like a sexist pig at the beginning, his character development, we love to see it. Okay, now I have to go really fast because my camera battery is flashing. I read the entire Twisted series. So, Twisted Love, Twisted Games, Twisted Hate, and Twisted Lies. This was 3 stars. This was 5 stars. I fucking love this. This was 4 stars, and this was 3 stars as well. I think the Twisted series, it was a little bit repetitive. Like, I feel like the characters were all very kind of samey. At least the guy characters were, except for my daddy Prince Reese. I love him. But yeah, I read these. They were a fun time, and I'm excited to read more of Anna Huang. Then I read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This is about a woman who falls in love with a ghost. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars because for a book that is like just under 300 pages, it took me several weeks to read, so I was a bit bored at times. However, the ending was really like heartbreaking and sad. I don't know, it was good. I wish I had read this like physically, because then maybe I would have read it faster. Yeah, anyways, 3 stars. Then I read Us Against You by Frederick Backman, the sequel to Bear Town. I gave this 4 stars. So just 1 star down from the first book, but still not a bad book by any means. It was just more like politics and business heavy than the first one, and I just wanted a little bit more heart, but it was still like very, very beautiful. I still cried, and I still love Frederick Backman. Then I read Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This is a thriller that I read on my Kindle. It was on Kindle Unlimited. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. It was all over the place. It was messy. It was not good. And it was very fat shamey. Why? Why was it like that? But it's also a debut. So I do know that Alice Feeney like does get better as a writer, because I did enjoy Rock, Paper, Scissors, but it wasn't great. Then I read The Ex-Hawk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This was, oh god, 3 out of 5 stars. I feel like I just missed the mark a little bit. We're getting into my December books now, so my December wrap up was up like a week ago. So you probably have heard all this before. Then I read Idle Burning by Rin Usami. This is a novella that I rated 3 out of 5 stars. I just wish it was a full-length novel because I feel like the themes felt very surface level, but still a pretty good novel nonetheless. Well, good novella nonetheless. Then I read Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, the sequel to Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This was another 4-star read. I really liked this. Yeah, everything I said about Good Girl's Guide to Murder rings the same with Good Girl Bad Blood. Then I read Guild by Raven Kennedy. This was 4 out of 5 stars, really good fantasy romance, really loved it. King Midas retelling, character development, excellent, gorgeous. And then finally, I read The Secret History. Okay, sorry guys, my camera battery actually did literally die. What was I talking about? Secret History. Anyway, yeah, I finally reread Secret History. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, obviously. One of my favorites. Well, it is my favorite book of all time, so obviously I was gonna give it 5 stars. And yeah, that concludes the video. So those are all 85 books that I read in 2022. I'm exhausted. I was planning on filming other videos today. I don't think I can. I don't think I can do it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you have made it to the end, I'm very impressed with you. You are my new best friends. Thank you so much. So, cheeky reminder that all of the other like end of year videos will be coming out very, very soon. I still need to do my best of and worst of the year. And also all my socials are linked down below, as well as my Patreon. So if you do want extra content from me, I would absolutely love it if you checked it out. You get 3 extra videos and 3 extra live shows a month if you join at my Patreon, as well as heaps of others. That's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video.